All right, y'all. So it's about that time again, and I wanted to bring another one of my milsurps out for a little bit of a look-see and kind of a do-over, and kind of talk about it because it is one of my all-time favorite rifles to shoot and own, operate, all that good stuff. Just really, really, really awesome milsurp. And the one I was going to talk about was this Swiss 1911 rifle. I can barely get this thing into frame because it's so freaking long. I mean, look at that; it's huge. So, anybody familiar with the Schmidt Rubin style of rifles will understand exactly and immediately what this rifle is. It is a Schmidt Rubin model of 1911. So, when I say my 1911 rifle, this is what I refer to, and it confuses a lot of people because when I say 1911, they think, oh man, 1911 like the pistol, right? No, no, no. I mean this rifle right here because it is the model of 1911. And this is basically the not a converted 1896. It is a true blue 1911 manufacturer designed for the new and improved Swiss GP11 ammo, which I have a box of right here, as you can see. Maybe it's backwards on the camera, but anyway, the point is it shoots this stuff rather than the older, I want to say it was the GP90 black powder stuff. So basically, a lot of countries were in the transitional period between black powder cartridges and smokeless powder cartridges, and this one was one of the earlier ones that adopted the obviously superior smokeless powder. But smokeless powder has a lot higher pressure and other things like that, so it requires a stronger action, increased um, strength of the steel, metallurgy, all that type stuff to facilitate the usage of smokeless powder. So that's what this rifle has over the original 1896 Schmidt Rubens that were now converted. And obviously the ones that are 1896/11s are the ones that are converted, but this one is a not a conversion one. It is a true blue 1911. So that adds a little bit of value to me, but ultimately it doesn't really matter too much. But to the serious collector, it might, because it is yet another variation of these rifles, which there are many. There are many variations of this rifle. But anyway, I wanted the kind of the long rifle experience, the quote unquote infantry version of this rifle, because the in general carbines and short rifles don't hold my interest as much as the absolutely ridiculous size of some of these standard issue infantry rifles. I mean, if you look at just how long this thing is, and considering this was a standard issue rifle back in the day for the standard rifleman, like I can't even imagine hiking and doing stuff, military operations in the Swiss Alps with this freaking huge metal rod on my back. Like that's back when men were men, uh, you know. And we have dudes out there today who are still complaining about their 6 to 8 pound M4 rifle out in the desert. Meanwhile, you had dudes way back in literally 1911 carrying these absolutely enormous freaking rifles. Um, so it's really a testament to see how far we've come since then. Um, but anyway, enough about the history of these things. This I've always been kind of interested in the Swiss rifles, mainly because from a collector's surplus standpoint, obviously Switzerland was not involved in any of the major wars, so these did not see a lot of hardcore like military action like a lot of the other military rifles did, like your Mausers, your Enfields, your Mosins. A lot of those can have a lot of wear and use from legitimate wartime use. These did not. So Swiss rifles in general tend to be at a lot higher condition, better condition than a lot of the other bolt action contemporaries at its time. So, and also the Swiss in general generally maintained their rifles a lot better than the standard conscript from other nations. So the general quality of the Swiss rifles tends to be a lot higher, even from the get-go, because as with everything the Swiss do, they grossly over-engineer everything. They make everything to a really, really, really high standard of manufacturing quality, and it definitely shows. Even with stuff as old as this, to even the brand new stuff today like B&T or Phoenix Arms or any of those other crazy Swiss gun manufacturers, Swiss watches, Swiss whatever, right? The Swiss are known for their quality, and this is absolutely no exception at all to that testament there. In fact, there's an urban myth floating around that says that if you really wanted to reproduce all of the qualities of the Schmidt Ruben rifles today with modern manufacturing techniques and capabilities, you'd be paying well over probably $2,000 to get a same quality rifle as these. And these were made back at, over 100 years ago, which absolutely blows my mind that they were able to do something of that quality, for an entire standard army, even though the Swiss army is a lot smaller than, say, Germany or the other nations. But still, a testament to Swiss engineering quality craftsmanship. Still to this day, these are absolutely phenomenal. So I will say though that these Schmidt Rubens definitely had a lot of novel features, even for rifles, standard rifles at the time. And one of them in particular was the detachable box magazines you had in the bottom here, right? So the original Schmidt Ruben rifles were 12-round capacity magazines. They had a big old thing that stick out of here at the bottom. I actually had one of those rifles probably a year or two ago. I bought it antique, and our buddy of mine in California really wanted one, so I bought one for him. And this was during California's Freedom Week, actually, where they were allowed to own quote unquote high capacity, standard capacity magazines. So during that time, the original Schmidt Ruben rifle with a 12-round detachable magazine was considered legal. So I went on my way to go get one, and it arrived just in time. And I was originally going to have that magazine blocked and pinned so that way it'd be legal for California, because California has stupid laws about assault weapons and magazines and all that stuff. So even with their laws, an original Schmidt Ruben rifle with a 12-round detachable box magazine was considered an assault weapon. Ooh, no, you can't have that. You can't have that horrible 12-round assault magazine, right? Absolutely ridiculous. Because I don't really know of anyone that actually makes the original GP90 ammo for this. The 7.5 by, I think it's 54 Swiss. I don't know anybody who makes that, so I don't see how it could be considered an assault weapon, but that's state of California for you. But anyways, the point was, I had one for a little while, and I was able to get it to a friend of mine. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is they had detachable box magazines back in the day, all the way back when the original Schmidt Ruben was made, and that was definitely a novel feature at the time. And I think the only other comparison I can think of off the top of my head is the Lee Enfield, which also had the top detachable box magazines, but definitely nowhere near the quality and usability as the Swiss-made ones. So this comes out the bottom, very simple, very easy. Nice little 6-round magazine. That's another cool thing too, is that these Schmidt Rubens were 6-round capacity versus a Mauser or a Mannlicher style action, which is usually around 5 rounds, except the Carcanos. I think the Carcanos had 6 rounds, but in general, the standard capacity for standard issue rifle was 5 rounds. So the Swiss were even a little bit more forward thinking and have 6 rounds in this. So that's pretty cool. Now, as far as I understand, the Swiss doctrine for their soldiers was not to carry detachable magazines, extra magazines with them. It was to feed it via stripper clips, like this reproduction I have right here, made out of plastic. The original stripper clips they used were a kind of a hybrid between steel or metal, whatever kind of metal it was. I think it was steel, with cardboard, and you would jam these things into the top of the receiver there, and just shove all your rounds in, and then you'd be good to go. So that was the standard doctrine for them at the time. It was not to replace your entire magazine, because anyone who has owned these rifles and have tried to load these magazines up with ammo and have tried to keep them from spilling ammo all over the place, it's very difficult to do that, because this was not designed to retain your ammo freely like that with this magazine just hanging around like in your pouch or whatever. It was not designed for that. So they did not really have that advanced doctrine to go with that as we're used to today. But it's still a very, very novel feature at the time. So pretty interesting. And of course, with the classic Schmidt Rubin straight pull style, I will maintain that these Swiss rifles are definitely the best straight pull actions you can get. I have had owned and own currently several Steyr-Mannlicher 1895 rifles, the straight pull ones, and those are nowhere near the level of quality, smoothness of action that any of these Schmidt Rubens are. I will say all day up and down, all over the place, that any Schmidt Ruben action is going to be like 10 times better than a 1895 action, just straight up. There's no comparison. But a Steyr-Mannlicher also costs a lot less than one of these to make. So, you get what you pay for. But, yeah, so straight pull action, detachable box magazine, still feeds through stripper clips. And also these rifles were initially zeroed for, I believe, 300 meters, which is quite high. If you think about the standard zeroing range for a lot of these standard issue service rifles, they started usually at 100 or even 200 meters. And some of the old ones even use the old style of measurement called SCRIT. And you guys can look up what that is. Old style of measurement, but it really was a testament to how far the Swiss Army and doctrine expected their soldiers to shoot out of these things. And I will tell you up front, these rifles are absolutely capable of doing that. No problem, no question. These rifles can reach out and touch somebody. So yeah, they started out at 300 meters, which is pretty cool. It's a little difficult though when you're shooting at some of the closer ranges that you're used to, at like your usual ranges that have maybe like 100, 200 yards for rifle targets at the most. Some of the nicer ranges have distances out to 300, 600, 1,000 meters even. Unfortunately, where I'm located, I don't know of any ranges that do that. So the most I can get out of is 200. So when I first took this thing out to, a very close distance, 25 yards, this thing was hitting so far up the target. Like I thought I was off paper for a second. Like I was like, dude, where are my shots going? This is crazy. But I had a spotter with me, and he was saying, dude, your shots are going like freaking all the way up on the top of the target frame. And I was like, oh shit. I got to move this back. So even at 100 yards, I have to basically keep my my target or my sight picture at the very, very bottom of my target frame in order to hit even remotely near where I actually want to hit, because the zero for these things is it's so high, it's ridiculous. So it's a little difficult to shoot at closer ranges because you have to compensate so much for the height zero, but it still is a phenomenally accurate rifle. Very, very smooth action. Oh my god, it is so much fun to shoot these things. And so that brings me to the next point. How does it shoot? So this has been cleared already. I'm just going to take the magazine out because it makes it easier to cycle the action. Because another novel feature this thing has is if you have the magazine in and it's on empty, you cannot push the bolt forward. So a lot of the Mauser type actions actually do not have that feature. That was something that they added later, depending on the certain type of follower you had for the magazine spring. The newer ones would actively stop you from going forward on empty, but some of the originals did not do that. Anyway, so obviously straight pull action. The straight pull action is just super smooth. I mean, there is there's no hang-ups, there's no fighting it. It's just straight boom, 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 boom. You're going quick, you're going fast, super smooth, easy. Not like the Steyr-Mannlicher where I'm struggling to pull that thing in, struggling to pull it, push it back, and no, there's none of that. Super smooth. The trigger is a two-stage type of affair. So you'll have a bit of take up here. You can see it right there. Bit of take up, and then you'll hit the wall, and then it's a very, very light, very crisp break. Oh man, look at that. Cock it again. So like I said, oops, I hit the wall there. So two-stage, right there. That's the wall, and then, oh man, super crisp. Very light, but not too light to the point where you can't really use this in a service rifle kind of configuration, which obviously it was designed for. Um, but man, that is a phenomenal trigger. That's just great. So I will say the sight picture though is somewhat sparse. It's very basic. It's kind of harder to describe, but it's a rear notch with a simple blade front post. So the side picture is very reminiscent of if you've ever shot like target sights that have like like on a pistol, it's like a blacked out rear, which is a simple black front, kind of giving that square overall look. That's basically what the side picture is for these. So it's quite basic, but it functions very well. Personally, I would prefer to have aperture sights if I could, and there are certain types of this rifle that do have like actual target sights on them, and I'm sure those are absolutely phenomenal to shoot, but they're also very expensive. Anyway, even with the basic original sights on this, the best accuracy I was able to get using the ammo it was designed for, the GP11, which is awesome quality stuff. The best group I got at 100 yards was 1.1 MOA with irons, mind you. And this is in the middle of Arizona desert heat. So there's a crazy mirage going on downrange, and my target's doing the wavy mirage type stuff. I was still able to achieve 1.1 MOA with irons at 100 yards with this rifle with the GP11 ammo. That is absolutely beyond phenomenal for any milsurf rifle I have ever shot. This thing is easily the most accurate, smoothest shooting one that I have. There's no question about it, none at all whatsoever. And it is just yet another point in the Swiss favor of just utter craftsmanship, quality. You can't beat it, really, you can't. So, as much as I love Mauser reactions, and as much as I love my Persian Mausers too, this rifle is just infinitely just more accurate, smoother, higher quality, no doubt. I mean, it blows my mind how accurate these things can be. And I really bet you, if I had actual target sights for this, I don't want to bubba these things, so I'll never put a scope on this. But if I found one of these that had maybe I'll look for a bubba version, a sporterized version that has like a scope mount on it. I would really love to see just how precise these things can be with the right ammo, like with a magnified optic or something like that, because I bet you it would be up there in terms of accuracy, which is absolutely crazy. Blows my mind for a rifle as old as this is. It's literally almost 100 years old, and well, actually, yeah, more than 100 years old, which is that's crazy if you think about it. That's awesome to me. So, so the accuracy is absolutely there. The quality is there. The shootability is there. Everything about this rifle is just amazing. It's awesome. So, this rifle has kind of encouraged me also to get a K31. I actually don't have a K31. I've never shot a K31, but I imagine if they're anywhere near as good as these original like 1911 rifles, the the old style infantry ones, dude, like that is a milsurp absolutely worth paying for and worth getting because of the just the sheer accuracy. I mean, you really cannot go wrong with one of these things. It's awesome. So I happened to scrounge up a bayonet. This is not a matching bayonet, unfortunately, but it was one I was able to buy at a gun show. The guy just had it sitting there, and the Swiss obviously they serialize everything and they take care of everything, and they keep excellent records. So anytime you get one of these rifles, you can easily look up the serial number and see the exact date of manufacture for these things, the exact variant. Really, the entire history of these rifles is very well documented by the Swiss system, which is excellent. I really do appreciate that as a milsurp collector kind of guy myself. a lot of places, companies, and governments could really learn a lot from the Swiss by taking care of their records and keeping accurate records. Um, you know, and another really cool connection with this rifle is there is trooper ID um, cards, I guess, underneath a lot of these butt plates on the stock. And this one did come with one, and it was very, very, very old, kind of plastic paper with handwritten pencil on it. But it was written in German, so I couldn't really, or Swiss German, whatever you want to call it, right? It was written in such a way that I could not read it. It was the kind of like the equivalent of like cursive, but for back then, back in the day. So luckily, I have a few friends of mine who are from Germany and Switzerland, and they were able to translate it for me. And it turns out that this guy who originally owned this rifle was basically like a private, or like a private first class kind of equivalent in the Swiss Army at the time. And this rifle, I think, was either 1912 or 1914, I think. Um, and it had, the guy's name, where he was from, what town he was from. I don't think that town exists or has the same name anymore, because not my Swiss friend, my German friend told me that he couldn't really identify exactly what town that was, but the handwriting was very very ornate and very hard to read, basically, especially given the age of these things and where this rifle has been and how long it's been sitting in warehouses and stuff like that. I'm surprised it's legible at all. So I have since removed the tag and I've placed it in my gun safe for safekeeping, because I'm not going to keep it underneath the buttstock here while I'm using this rifle. I kind of want to preserve that little bit of history there and keep it basically safe from average wear and tear. So, for most of guys like me who really enjoy these old rifles, it's so cool to have one of the very, very accurate Swiss records. Two, to have the kind of personal connection to the guy who used to own this rifle back in the day, from way, way back when, like over 100 years ago. To have his trooper ID card underneath the butt plate there, super, super cool. And three, to have it also be a very, very functional, very accurate rifle from even back in the day, and it maintaining its excellent condition that I have here. That is just something you don't see very often in a lot of Milsurp rifles. Is all of those three things together: the really good history, the really good information about it, the records being kept, and also being a very, very functional and high quality piece that is it's quite rare actually in the Milsurp community. So these Swiss rifles are I think underrated for the most part for what you get out of them. There are some places that charge an exorbitant amount for the target rifles and the special versions of these things, which it makes sense, because like everything Swiss and quality, you are going to pay a premium regardless. So whether or not it's worth it to you, that's entirely on you. But for the most part, I have been extremely impressed with basically any Swiss product that I have used, but especially this one. So I just want to demonstrate too, real quick, while I have the bayonet, just how ludicrously large and long this rifle is. So let me get this thing on here and try to demonstrate just how tall this thing is, if I can. So I am, for the record, 6 foot even, and if I have this rifle down, butt plate on the ground there, and I'm standing as tall as I can, you can kind of see how far up that reaches, just about past my chin. And that is it's just resting on the floor. So that is absolutely insane, just how big, you can see that right there, just how big these rifles are. That is insane to me, that this was a standard issue rifle back in the day. And like I said, I'm 6 foot even, I'm not a small dude, but this is something else, So it catches a lot of attention at the range when I put that bayonet on just for shits and giggles, and I just want to see, what happens when I shoot it with the bayonet on, just for fun, you know. But yeah, I actually got this thing out of one of the most unlikely places I don't shop too often, and that's Cabela's of all places. Cabela's for a while actually had on their like used gun floor, they had racks and racks and racks. It's just absolutely full of these things. And they were in all various conditions, shapes, sizes. So I took my time. I took an entire afternoon, and I was just going through every single one of them, taking them, opening the actions and everything, looking at them, and really inspecting them closely. Because before then, I've never owned one of these rifles, so I really didn't know what to look for too much, but I knew enough to be dangerous. So really taking my time, and I got the best one out of the rack there. And I ended up paying probably a lot more than I should have for one of these things, but that's Cabela's. They're going to charge you a little bit more. All the big box stores are going to charge a lot more for any weapon they sell, milsurp or not. And sometimes at milsurps they charge even more than normal than they should. But honestly, given how much I paid for this and the absolute like sheer performance I've gotten out of this thing, I am not disappointed whatsoever. Like I said, 1.1 MOA with GP11 ammo at 100 yards with iron sights. That is phenomenal. I've not been able to reproduce that since. I've gotten very close though. I've gotten like 1.2, 1.3 MOA on average with this gun, which is still, that is absolutely nuts to me that this thing is capable of being that accurate, especially with irons, which is that is an achievement in and of itself. So I really cannot say enough good things about this rifle. I'm really looking forward to getting a K31 at some point and seeing what it can do versus this gun. There is something to be said about sight radius. This one obviously is going to have a longer sight radius than a K31 because it is a longer rifle. But I've heard a lot of good things about K31s, and obviously K31s benefit a lot more from more modern production techniques and different bolt and stuff like that. So we'll see someday when I get a K31 how it will stack up to our original long rifle like this. So either way, I expect good things, and I am super satisfied with this rifle. I love it, and really, like I said, this is an absolute testament to Swiss quality and craftsmanship and all those things, man. Like it's just a good rifle. So I will be linking a video to. There's a gentleman I believe out of Hungary called Cap and Ball, and he runs a YouTube channel which is mainly focused on black powder related stuff. But he does have a video on the Swiss rifles, and he absolutely adores these things even more than I do. I absolutely encourage you guys to watch his video on that, because this dude has like the smoothest accent ever. It is phenomenal. Like nobody really thinks of Hungary really hardly at all. But most people in the United States don't even know that Hungary is a country. Or it could even pinpoint it on the map. But this dude has a phenomenal channel. He does great stuff, and he has a very smooth accent. He is just a smooth dude, and his information is excellent. And he has a video on these rifles, and he absolutely loves them. It's great. It is so fun to me to see another person enjoy these rifles to the level that he does. It is phenomenal. So anyway, I will leave that link down in my description here. So if you are looking at places to get these rifles, Edelweiss.com is a very excellent source of basically anything Swiss related. They do charge a little bit more, I will say that, but they are extremely fast with their shipping. Their customer service is excellent. So you are paying a little bit more, but in my opinion, it's worth it. I've ordered from them several times, and they've always been very good about it. So Edelweiss.com, I won't be able to link that in the description because YouTube doesn't like that, but Edelweiss.com, check them out. They have all kinds of awesome Swiss weapons and anything Swiss related. you can find it there, including this ammo. They get this ammo, the GP11 ammo, in batches, so definitely order it when you can. The prices are going up for GP11, but let me tell you, it is by far the most high quality 7.5 Swiss ammo you will be able to find, period dot. So it's literally the ammo that this rifle was designed to shoot, so you really cannot get any better than that. So anyway, that's enough about this. So this video's gone 30 minutes, holy crap. Like I said, really cannot say enough about these Swiss rifles. Buy with confidence. I would definitely do your research, though. Of course, just like with any other milsurp, there is potential for these to have really old or damaged stocks due to use, wear, and tear. But for the most part, mechanically, for the metal parts, the Swiss rifles tend to be in excellent condition. So I should not expect really degraded bores or degraded rifling or degraded crowns up here, muzzles. Really, they for the most part, in all examples I've seen, they have been mechanically excellent condition. So yeah, if you're looking to get one of these rifles, the Swiss rifles, buy with confidence. Do don't doubt that these things are going to be excellent. They absolutely will. Even for as old as they are excellent shooters. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. And I hope you guys, get one of these at some point and enjoy them as much as I have, and maybe as much as Captain Ball has. Excellent stuff. So, we'll see you next time.